everyone, and welcome to our podcast. This is Shivani, your host for the episode, and today we have two incredible cosplayers who's going to share their journey into the world of cosplay with us. First off, we have Sumera, self-employed entrepreneur and a rising star in the world of cosplay, and we have Aravind Menon, who is also a rising star. He's been doing this for 7 years, and they are here to share their journey. So first off, can you tell us about how you got into cosplay and what inspired you guys?
Like, do you want the long story or do you want the short story?
Long story always.
Long story. So, we were all Animax kids, back in the days. We had Animax being telecasted. So, we were watching anime without knowing that it was anime. So, we just assumed that it was cartoon. And over time, it fell off, right? It went off the television. So, there was a fallout period. And after that, when I joined college, I had to stay in hostel. Trust me when I tell you there is no network connectivity there. You'll be living in a cave. So post-college, after I came out, again my friends had to introduce me to the pop culture, to the anime culture. And that's when I restarted watching anime. And my first anime was Haikyuu. So once I just watched a few episodes and I'm like, yeah, this is my thing. I'm gonna get hooked to it. And then I binged for the next 6 months. There was a complete binge, and that's what got me hooked into it. So that's pretty much how it started. And on Insta, while I started scrolling for memes and other anime content, I saw people dressing up. I was so inspired by that. I was like, this happens. And I wanted to try that too. So the next thing I did was ransack my brother's cupboard, saw whatever was available, threw it on, and that's how my first Eren cosplay was made.
Okay. Tell us more about Eren Yeager and why you chose Eren Yeager as your first cosplayer.
That'll probably go on for us.
It's okay. We're here for it.
Yeah, Attack on Titan is still on my top 5. It's one of the best animes I've ever seen. And my friend, she was also into AOT at that time, and we thought, okay, let's do Eren and Mikasa. We were so hyped. And that's when I ransacked my brother's cupboard. Okay, let's see. I've seen him wear something grey, so let me go steal that for a moment. And that's exactly what I did. I had my hair cut to his length exactly at that time. Yeah. And that's about the time I started getting into makeup and face paints as well. So I found that really interesting. I had to draw all those lines. I was feeling that moment. I was like, yes, I am him. So that's pretty much about how the first cosplay went.
How about you, Aravind?
For me, actually, I grew. She calls me ancient all the time because I am actually quite old. I grew up on things like Cardcaptor Sakura, Inuyasha, Clam School, kind of like that. I'm a typical 90s kid. So with that, I didn't know anything about cosplay. And till I came to about when I'm working in Amazon right now as a 3D artist, till I actually started there, I actually didn't even come across cosplay or anything of that sort. Before, I was just a classic anime kid and I didn't know anything about it. But one thing happened where when I started work, I usually dress different. I'm not the typical usual guy or whatever. I sort of dress a bit gritty and a little bit like that with long hair and everything I used to have. Now I cut it. Yeah, like a metalhead basically. Because I look different, my colleagues actually suggested, and this was correctly when I joined, was when an annual event was happening, where there's a costume competition and things like that. And they nominated me for it. I never did anything of that sort. They nominated me for it, and I did all sorts of things like dumpster dive and do all sorts of things, and basically a closet cosplay of Immortan Joe from Mad Max. And I did that. And after that, I've actually grown up on stage. I am also a musician as well. So yeah, I play the drums. I've been playing for about 13 years now. So I like getting on stage. And I didn't know that cosplay actually, or putting on a costume, actually gets you that exposure. And when I saw that happening, and I actually won that cosplay competition as well, funny enough.
Accidental awards.
Yeah, I guess. But the crowd response I got, it's the same response I got when I play music, right, with my band and everything. It's the same response that I got. And I like that response. That response where when I get on stage, I like the power that I have. It's like I have the audience in the palm of my hands. I like that. I like that feeling, and I got that from cosplay as well. So I started delving into it and made my first cosplay, which was something that I am actually proud of and also regret, because it is something that beginners should not do, which probably I might delve into later on as we go in. I don't know if you know the character called Guts from Berserk. It's a big armored dude with big black armor with a giant 6.5 foot sword. So I did that. That was my first cosplay. And that most cosplayers would tell you not to do something like that. They would say start slow, start small, simple, and then grow up into it. I jumped into it completely, and yeah, for better or for worse, yeah, I'm known for that now. So
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting. Do you have any such instances where you felt really powerful on the stage after you have dressed up?
Okay, so my first Comic Con in 2022, I believe. That was the first ever event that I had, I attended. And I was going with my friend, and I thought, okay, let me dress up. And I really thought I was the only person who was going to dress up for a con. That was so naive of me. And then I was so conscious all the way, till reaching the con, because I dressed up at home. I had a white wig on. People at the road, staring. They were smiling. They were making faces.
that's common with this cosplay.
Yeah. At one point, I was like, am I going to be the only clown there? And then I went there. I stepped foot outside. I see around, and I was overwhelmed by the amount of people dressed up as so many different things, so many different cosplays. And at that moment, I felt a little peaceful. And as I walked in, there was this one person who said, Gojo Sensei! And that was the moment the barriers broke. That moment, I had to sink into the character. I had to give the love. I have to show the love to the character. I have to show the love to the fans, and I really enjoyed that experience a lot. So, and that day, I was like, okay, I felt like, okay, so this is something that's gonna go on forever.
Okay, you guys are already convincing me to be part of you guys. Okay, thank you.
That's good.
I'll move over to that side. And today you're as Robin from One Piece. Can you tell us why you chose this? Why is it one of your repertoire?
Yes. So, as we go into the story, we see Robin as, someone who's a threat to the crew initially. But then things happen and she becomes a part of the crew. That's when we start knowing her completely. And we get to see that she's had a very difficult past, and she's had to support herself through her journey till she found reliable friends, and I found that really inspiring. Plus, I have to give it to her dark humor. It's really it really lights me up, contrary to what's called dark humor. So
Is there any aspect of her personality that you find relatable to you?
She's smart. I wish to be smart.
I'm pretty sure you're smart as well. And you're here as
Okarun.
Okarun from
Yeah,
that.
Turbo Okarun, to be exact, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, honestly, I like his innocence. And that part of me, there is a thing where I actually have not experienced innocence as much. And I like his innocence because I want to relate with that. And the other thing is he drives himself to get better. I like that drive. I relate with that quite a bit because I'm very competitive myself. So yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I'm very competitive. Whenever I go into something, for example, the makeup that I've done, right? I'm not specializing in makeup. I usually do prop work, wig work, and all of the other stuff. Makeup, this makeup, right? You see here, I learned in about 3 weeks to do. So I practice it every day, doing it again and again and again and again. That's what I go full head first into it. So I like that aspect with Okarun as well. Basically, even though he's timid, even though he is very sickly afraid and all of that, he does his best and he wants to prove himself. So yeah, that part I like about him.
That's very inspiring. From a
Also, the main reason I like gritty designs like this. So I like making all of this.
We have established that already.
Yeah.
You're a metalhead. Yeah. And what's your favorite part about cosplaying? Is it designing the costumes? Is it experimenting with makeups or wearing it, or you being on stage?
for me, it's everything. Because when you start, you'd be so clueless. It'd be like, how am I gonna do this even? And especially when it comes to complex builds or foam builds, you'd be like, is it even gonna work out? And then you hesitantly start something. And at this point, your mind says, trust the process. And you'd have to.
Yes.
You have no other choice. You trust the process and you
Yeah,
go on
those
with
are
it.
golden words for every cosplayer. Trust the process.
Trust the process. Yes. And when it comes to finishing, you'll feel good. You'll be like, okay, this is taking shape. Okay, we've done something good. And then you finish it. And then you'll feel like, okay, the job's done. And then comes the main part. You have to wear it and you have to cosplay.
Yeah.
Okay, how has cosplaying impacted your life outside of conventions?
Outside of conventions, I'd say a little bit. Recently,
In
actually,
which-
before I actually did not involve cosplay and my outer life at all. Now it's slowly become to dissolve a bit, and yeah. Now, for example, before my colleagues at work did not know I cosplayed. Now they do. So that's a big difference there. They look at me differently, treat me differently, but in a good way. But yeah, that's the thing. They think, okay, how is this guy who's so quiet and so serious at work doing all of this outside? It's a totally different side. I flip sides completely. They're surprised about that. Other than that, yeah, like
Okay.
that is there. It's a flip of a
So
coin.
cosplaying kind of unlocks a personality that you have.
Well,
That's actually
personalities.
true.
You could say.
Personalities, sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
That's actually true. When people interact with you, they interact with you in a certain normal way. And then when they find out you're a cosplayer, they
Yeah.
get much more excited about it. And they're like, okay, I didn't know you did that. It's fun exploring that. And one more thing about it is that it boosts your confidence. Like, you'd have to go up on stage quite often. You'd have to talk to a lot of people quite often. You meet a lot of new people. So that kind of broadens the perspective of how different people are, and interacting with them is fun. You learn new things, you make new friends. So all that, it kind of comes up, it becomes a part of your life outside cosplay as well.
Okay, and we had our first Chennai Comic Con last year. How do you see it shaping up this year?
Quite well, actually.
Okay. What are your expectations when it comes to 2025 Comic Con Chennai?
I think it'll be pretty much a rush.
Okay, okay.
Pretty much a
Similar,
rush.
yeah, very similar to last time, and we're pretty excited about it actually.
Yeah.
Okay, is
Yeah.
there any particular panelists or anything that you're looking forward to?
Well, particular panelists, some comic artists, but other than that, basically the overall sphere is we go mainly for the competitions and the cosplay space and the community. That's what we mostly go for, mainly.
You told us that you have watched almost all there is to watch regarding
I would
anime
have,
and
yes.
everything. What do you think makes anime resonate with Indian audience?
For example, I would say, like, just off the hand, My Hero Academia, for example, or Attack on Titan. You see the effects, you see that bombasticness, right? Like, that is kind of similar to how I would say this might be a cringy thing to say because some people might not agree, but the bombastic thing that happens in movies, right? The extravagance, the dishum, you could say that part of it, that is sort of there in that representation. Like the overall thing about that extravagance, right? That is what I think resonates. That emotional aspect of it that resonates with the thing, I think.
Okay, that's a really cool point you made. What's your take?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that because there are like different genres of anime:
Yeah.
shonen, shoujo, seinen, and so many different things. And what's most popular is shonen. Shonen is for the teens, young adults, where it's action packed and very captivating.
Yeah.
So kind of the same. Yeah.
Elaborate on the other genres of anime.
Okay, this could take some time. So shoujo, as I mentioned,
Also,
shoujo's like
shoujo, yes, also.
yeah, shoujo is like romance, softcore animes, and seinen is like the really deep, dark ones. He did Berserk, right? He did Guts from Berserk. Sorry.
Yeah, it's one of the
So,
most gritty, most
yeah.
brutal things out
Animes
there.
ever. So that comes
Anime,
under
yeah.
seinen. So that's like at the top of what I can think of right now.
Okay. And you are a 3D artist.
I am, yeah.
And you're at the intersection of tech and art.
Yeah.
How do you see AI collaborating with cosplayers in the future? How do you envision cosplayers using AI, like Mid-Journey and all of that, into their works?
Well, with just how AI is being incorporated, for example, with me in my profession as well, I would say that it actually, some people say that AI is actually not doing good because they might be taking jobs or something like that. But I actually see it as a stepping stone. Basically, if you, with AI or any tool, it's how the person uses it, that's how matters, right? So if people use AI in bad ways, it will be interpreted in bad way. But you can always use it in a good way as well, like how to make redundant things, like redundant like steps and all of that. You can make that simple. Instead of going 5 steps, you can just make 1 step. Things like that, like simplifying the process. That I think AI will help completely. That's what I think.
Yeah, initially as you start out, you'd be raking for ideas. So that way AI would be really helpful. It'll help you. It could help you, like make the patterns initially so that you can trace it out, cut it, or it could help you brainstorm for different kinds of materials that you could use. So it can be a great assist.
Also, one other thing that she mentioned that I remember, the main pain of when you start a cosplay is searching for the references.
Yeah.
Searching for every single thing, every single angle. Sometimes most very hard to get angle is the backside. In every series, nobody shows the backside. Nobody shows. So you have to go all the way to the nether realms of the internet to basically find a back reference.
That never occurred to me.
Yeah, so things like that. So that is something that is most cosplayers would not say it out loud because they've gotten used to it. But when you ask a cosplayer, when you ask them what part of the process is most difficult, they will say getting the reference of the back or the down portion of the whole costume.
Oh, is that the same case for very elaborate animes like
Yes.
One Piece has
Yes.
1,000
Yes.
episodes?
Yes.
Is that the same case?
Yeah, there are
Up
very
to
few.
1,000 episodes?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
So there will be, but very less.
Yeah.
You have to
Okay.
comb through that. There'll
Okay.
probably be like 1 or 2 out of 1,000. So you'll have
so
to
you
comb
have
through all of that to find those 1 or 2.
Okay, and there's no creative interpretation that you guys can do for that.
Oh, for
You have to
example,
be like accuracy plays a part.
yeah, that I
big
can actually
part.
show you one thing. You see these grinds over here, right? This is mine. That's not actually in the thing. I made this based off an idea of a wolf's gums, right? How that looks. I made it look more scary with that. So I added that. That's my own interpretation.
Okay.
So we'd like
Things
to
like that.
get it as accurate as possible. So we'd have to skim through the videos, take screenshots, save it.
Yeah.
And,
Okay,
yeah,
that sounds very tedious.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That,
Okay.
that basically encompasses, see, for that one back reference, we'd probably spend days or weeks. I mean, sometimes. It
Sometimes,
happens.
My goodness.
Yes.
Okay.
Because see,
Hats
there
off,
will be,
guys.
because there will be different back references also. We have to find out which is correct.
The most
That's also there.
accurate one.
Yeah,
you have.
exactly.
Okay, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Just like research, a lot of research
Pretty much,
goes
yeah.
into it
Yes.
before even crafting
Yeah.
begins.
Then only we'll
I'm
buy the
just still
materials,
processing
right?
it. Yeah, okay. And where do you think the cosplay scene in Chennai will be in 5 years? Down the lane.
Oh, it's like starting. I mean, the sparks have already started, so I'm just expecting a wildfire at the end of 5 years.
I'll actually say one thing though, it will be crazy vibrant. That I can
Yeah.
see. It will be crazy vibrant because I've been cosplaying for about 7 years now, right? So back then to now, it's stark. It's completely different and it's grown exponentially. So I would say it would probably, right now the hype, probably maybe double or triple by that time.
Okay, any other cosplayers in Chennai do you admire or look up to?
OG. I call him OG because OG-san. OG-san is grandpa in Japanese.
No, it's actually uncle.
He has an original.
No, it's actually uncle, but yeah, anyhow, yeah.
And I just tease him for how old he is. He's ancient, like you said, he's ancient and he's been here for a very long time. And I met him first at my first competition. Actually, he's that ancient.
I was the judge for
He
that.
was the judge.
Okay, what do you guys look for when you judge other cosplayers?
That for me, I have 4 criteria. One is, as you mentioned, accuracy and everything, right? Basically, the core aspect. Do they embody that visually? Second, do they embody that character-wise on stage, how they perform? And third, their X factor. what is different. For example, I mentioned this, right? That's a difference. Basically, I look for that X factor and is it impressive? Does it make the character more vibrant, more what it is, or does it highlight the character more? And the fourth is an overall impression, how the overall look is. This is my criteria for this thing.
You also
That's-
judge. What
yeah.
are your criteria?
So it's pretty much the same actually. You look for how accurate the cosplay is, you look for how the person embodies the character, and you look at how they perform, which basically contributes to the X factor. And while this is for an overall outlook, we also have separate categories. So you have like, you can judge for best tailoring, you can judge for best prop making, you can judge for best performance. So there are like different categories where you can judge.
With that,
at
most
a
competitions they have prizes as well based on that. Like
Okay.
for Comic-Con ICC, for example, there's the 3 categories: FX, armor work, and stitching. So I myself am an FX cosplayer actually. This is one of my more toned down cosplay. Usually I'll have like head to toe, I'll have lights and effects and all sorts of things going on.
Okay,
Usually.
speaking of X factors, what are really cool X factors you have come across so far?
Well, I would say moving props. Like for example, character with wings. Imagine if the wings are moving and doing things like how naturally.
Mechanized
Yeah, mechanized
props.
wings.
Okay.
Yeah, mechanized props. I have a friend who recently won at Bangalore Comic Con for ICC. His name is he goes by PK Props. His name is Praveen. He usually makes such intricate, very mechanized things. Like there will be lights, obviously, but for example, imagine if he made a shield, a dragon-studded shield that actually talks. He put the mic. He had a volunteer basically keep the mic at the on the Comic Con stage. He basically kept the mic, and that thing was talking. So yeah, like
Wow.
stuff like that.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Okay.
really cool.
What about you?
For me, it's about the performances most time, because you don't have like that many funny moments. I mean, you do have funny moments in the anime, but when it comes to presenting that on stage, that captivates the audience the most. When you're really funny on stage, any character you do, even if it's a serious character, if you're able to make it funny, if you're able to interact with the audience, if you're able to catch the attention, I think that's really something. It's quite a talent.
Okay, speaking of very mechanized props, I have also seen in reels that people are using 3D for their cosplays
Yeah.
to catch in-depth designs, small, detailed ones.
Yeah, this is actually a 3D print of mine actually, which I have on sale on my store as well. That is it.
Okay.
But yeah, this is something I made. So this
Okay,
is model of mine.
how difficult is that process?
For me, not very difficult since I'm already in the field, so not that difficult. But otherwise, I think for other people, maybe because they are not professionally doing it, it might be slightly more difficult. It might be a bigger learning curve. So
Okay.
that is that.
So we'd have to like outsource if you're doing if you're getting a 3D printed prop, we'd have to outsource from people who do 3D prints and sell it. So that's there, because like there are like so many different aspects to learn in cosplaying: sewing, makeup, wig making, prop making, tailoring, 3D design, for example. So I like we'll just take it one skill at a time.
Yeah.
So to
And
be a really cool, good cosplayer, you should be multi-talented.
Well, yeah. Basically, we're a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
King
But-
of all trades.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
be honest.
Yeah, but the thing is, every cosplayer, even though we're jack of all trades, for example, I mentioned that I'm more of an FX cosplayer, right? I specialize in that, and I'm known for that. Same way, some other person would be known for beautiful embroidered things, or very good stitching, and very good, beautiful dresses and things like that. Another person would be known for, even in Comic Con, you'll see, right, like things like that, which happen where a guy would be standing with a 7-foot monstrosity of a thing, and they'd be so awesome to look at. They'd be specialized in that and things like that also. So you'll mostly see in competitions and events like Comic Con and similar.
I feel really bad about one thing because I personally am an art makeup cosplayer. So I'd have to, I mean, I'll be doing online content. I love doing online content with art makeup. But the thing is, you can't wear it outside to the con, especially with Chennai heat. It's going to melt off. So
I'm really sorry about that. You don't have to.
oh my god.
Tissues.
I do. It's the lens, guys. I'm not trying.
For a second, you had me panicking. Okay, let's do a quick quick rapid fire questions,
Sure.
if you will. What's the weirdest reaction you've got from a stranger while in cosplay?
Weirdest reaction. Basically, for example, My Hero Academia. For example, I've done a very hated villain called Overhaul. Basically, the reaction was he is kind of like a person who antagonizes a little girl in the anime. People have come in with like, "Are you going to antagonize my daughter?" Things like that. I mean, basically,
Like all about the person.
yeah, exactly. Like, are you going to be doing that or something like? I've gotten those kind of things where they actually think that meta thing, right? Where they think I am the character, which is which impresses me because I'm like, okay, it's like a compliment, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, right? So,
You have to only take that as a compliment.
yeah,
You're
correct.
embodying it perfectly to the point they think you might antagonize them.
Yeah,
Daughter.
pretty
So,
much.
what about you?
For me, it's always been the cab rides. Whenever you get into the cab, they're gonna look at you like, what's this person up to?
No, for me, they just keep quiet. That's another good thing about me. Whenever they see my stuff, they cabs just keep quiet.
I
They
better
don't
not
speak
get
anything.
killed.
No, probably I don't know. So, yeah,
And then
there's
they
that.
come up with questions like, are you a foreigner? And then, no, I'm from here.
I hope the awareness increases in China, so it's
It's
easy
actually
for you
increased
guys.
quite a bit.
So it's
For now, yeah. And yeah, like
glad about that.
I'm so sorry. But then, as I said, cab experiences have been weird. But there was this one particular cab experience that I have to share about. So this person is actually a weeb. So he was an absolute fan. And then he started his conversation saying, are you going to the Comic Con? Like, yes. And then he was like, yeah, I also watch anime, the Japanese version. I'm like, bro.
Did he
that's
take fare from
amazing."
you?
I'm sorry?
Did he give you a free ride?
No, unfortunately, that did not happen. But an entire 1 hour conversation happened.
Damn. I'm glad for that. Love that for you. And have you ever had a costume completely fall off when you have put everything while in cosplay?
Yes,
Like somewhere?
on stage,
On stage.
basically have collapsed. Yes.
Oh my god, that's a nightmare.
Yes, indeed. Sadly.
I cannot deal with nightmares. Hence, I make sure I test it out really well before, like going outside with my costumes. So-
Smart.
Yeah, but those are learning experiences. Now it doesn't happen as much because I've experienced all of that now. So that's a learning
Okay,
experience. as well.
okay. And what's the most heartwarming, you have told about yours, what's the most heartwarming, wholesome interaction you've had when you were in cosplay?
Well, I can actually mention something very recently. This thing you see here, this sticker. This sticker. This is the
You can show it
sticker
on
of
the
my
camera
character.
over there.
Huh? Yeah, sticker of my character actually. At Comic Con only, like in Bangalore Comic Con, what happened was a little girl. I love kids. Okay, that's another thing. I love kids and I love my nephew and all of that. And what happened? I was in full cosplay. I was just doing poses and people are coming and going. It was usual. Then one little girl, she comes up to me with the sticker. She asks me, can I get a picture with you? And she just gives me the sticker. You're my favorite character, and that just melted my heart. Like that was so sweet,
Aww,
and
kids
that made my day. That made my day.
Wow.
So,
A similar incident actually
yeah.
happened as well. When the kid comes to you and gives you a chocolate, and that chocolate's gonna save your day because you're starving the entire day. I'm like, I love you so much, child. God bless you.
little angels come
Little
down and make
angels,
your
yeah.
days better.
Yeah.
Have you ever been mistaken for another character?
Yes.
Yes.
My
Examples,
Guts
please.
cosplay, for example, that at that time it wasn't as prevalent. I've been mistaken as Batman, as Black Thanos, like absurd things. So yes, it has happened. And when I wore my character Strife, it's from a game called Darksiders. I've been questioned if I'm a Power Ranger and things like that. So it happens. It's part of the trade.
How do you deal with that though?
Shrug it off. Oh, what is it?
So, like recently, I cosplayed as a character called Isha from Arcane. But the thing is, she comes in Arcane season 2, and I think most people haven't started season 2 yet. And then when they see me, the vibes are similar of another character from Arcane, and they'll be like, "Powder!" I'll be like, "No, it's Isha."
Okay, that's
Almost
better
there.
than shrugging it off. It's more like, I'm here, you better than you say. Acknowledge me for it. Has cosplay ever helped you go through a very difficult time in your life?
Yes. Well, I would say cosplay has basically opened me up in many ways. For example, recently, this I actually wear this. This is actually a token from my late dog. Actually, he passed away
I'm so
last
sorry.
August. Thank you. Yeah, so at that time, for example, cosplay and the people that I've met through cosplay, they helped me through that experience. So that is one recent experience that I would say that cosplay has helped me, and going to Comic Con and things like that, like events and having fun and being dragged there, obviously, because I'm more of an introvert myself, so I get dragged there by my friends. So yeah, that's that. That has helped me quite a bit. That's most recent experience, among other things as well.
I mean, meeting new people certainly is one of the best things. I mean, that itself helps you go through whatever you're going through, and making it like while you're making a certain cosplay, while you're putting your mind into it, your mind does not go anywhere else. So it's very peaceful at that time.
Meditative of sorts.
Yes,
Yeah.
meditative. It's very therapeutic. So that helps us through some tough times.
Okay. Have you ever had a bad experience with a fan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Elaborate,
Basically,
please.
being slapped on your back. I was wearing a big cape. Imagine this is a girl.
That's essay.
Yeah, I know. Sadly, it is. But then again, I was wearing a cape. That's the Guts character that I was talking about. That what happened is she basically had her hand around me, which is normal, and then basically slaps and goes. And
I'm
I'm
so
like,
sorry.
I'm like, okay, like really. And but the thing is, with that girl actually got thrown out because
Good call.
some staff. This
Noticed
happened
that.
at Comic Con only. They were very professional with it. They saw that and they were like, why are you doing this and all of that. They have a thing always, which I always adore. Cosplay is not consent. That is always there at whenever you enter Comic Con. Right, there's one big placard over there that says that. And they follow that also there. So when things like this happen, they're thrown out usually. So
That's the golden rule of cosplay
Yeah,
again.
pretty much.
Second one, we are
Yeah.
getting like rules after
Yeah,
rules.
yeah, pretty
What's the
much.
process? This one.
Yeah.
Similarly, like some people, they are really sweet. They come to you, they ask, "Can I take a picture with you?"
Yeah.
And that's like really nice. But then some people, they just bring their cameras and be like, "Go, let's take a picture." They just put their hands around you. That time it feels a bit off. I'm like, okay, fine, let's still pose. So awkward moments have happened like that.
Okay, I'm really sorry about that for you guys. Hopefully, our viewers are educated by this and they don't do such things.
Yes, cosplay is not consent.
Yeah,
Cosplay is not
cosplay is not consent. What's the most chaotic or unexpected thing that's happened to you at a convention?
For me, I told you I'm an FX cosplayer, right? Imagine the whole thing short circuiting. Yeah, short circuit. I actually got shocked on stage, and that actually helped because I had to do a jump. At that point, I actually jumped high because I was shocked.
I don't know how to take this now.
So yeah, the character actually jumps pretty high. It's basically a trait of his.
Did your
And-
muscles spasm into a higher
Yeah.
jump?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Actually,
that
yes.
sounds very scary though.
Yeah,
Oh my
that
God.
happens. So that is also another reason why every failure we take safety precautions and everything afterwards, right? So that it doesn't happen. So that's that. So yeah,
Nothing-
that's a weird experience of mine.
Yeah, nothing tops that.
Of course.
And yeah, this happened. I remember at 2019 Comic Con. Yeah, that was when that happened.
For someone who's just starting out when it comes in the world of cosplay, what advices would you give them?
Main thing is have fun. That's the main aspect of cosplay. If you go in thinking, okay, you're doing something and then you feel bad about it, that means you're not doing it right. You have to have fun with it. Then only you will see all of this and all of that and everything is made because we have a passion for it, right? Otherwise, it won't manifest. It'll basically be half-assed or it'll not be on par. If you want to make it come alive, it needs to have a life, right? Same way, that fun aspect, I would say.
Because especially when I started out, I had this obsession of making it perfect. And then like no matter what I try, if it doesn't come out perfect, I'd have slight, like confusion in my mind whether am I doing it well. But then like as it went on, I just realized having fun is actually the most important
Yeah,
part.
pretty much.
Because even if you think, it's perfect, there's going to be a more perfect version of it.
Yeah, that is another thing. Second thing would be do not compare yourself with
Yes.
others. because every single person, as I said, like I'm not accurate because I've done my own styling and things. Everyone does their own style. So do not compare yourself unless and otherwise you're competing and the judges compare you. Other than that, do not compare yourself because that is also an anxiety thing that most cosplayers feel. Okay, they'll be looking at some cosplayer who's a full-time cosplayer who's done it for like 10, 12 years and they'll compare themselves who have just started or probably a few months in, and that's unfair because they've had a decade of experience while you have just started. Don't beat yourself up for that. That is one common thing I've seen people burning out because of that and not going back into cosplay because of that and things like that have happened. So don't compare. Just do your best and have fun.
Anything else? Any other advices?
Be careful.
Yes.
Main thing.
Please.
Because with all the stuff that you are taking apart, like for example with electronics, you can get shocked, you can do things like that, and all that. Always take precautions. There's the glues that you use, they can be toxic depending on what medium it is, the paints also, what makeup you use, all of that, the paints and everything. There is a safety factor of it that you have to keep, and do not neglect that, I would say.
Like even if you're careful, it's always best to follow the safety precautions
Yeah.
because no matter how careful you are, you always tend to slip sometimes because you'll be sitting for hours together, you'll be working, your concentration goes amiss sometimes, and you'll be handling power tools. So it can be really dangerous. Like a friend of mine recently had an incident where his hair got pulled.
Yeah.
With a power tool, so we had to like cut it off. It could have ended up really dangerous. So tie your hair, wear your goggles, wear your glasses, wear all the gear, especially when you're working with power tools. Safety comes first.
And another person who's also basically a pro cosplayer, I think I mentioned right, Praveen. He actually cut a portion of his finger off by accident because of
Sawing.
Yeah, he was sawing a wooden piece for his. He was doing a winged character, and this was done for, if I remember right, at 2024 Comic Con, BCC, Bangalore Comic Con. At that time, he won the ICC also, but before that, he had to go to the emergency room and get his finger. I think it was his pinky or his index finger. I don't remember, but yeah, a portion of it was cut off, and he had to get it stitched and all that. So yeah,
It's
that is
so
This is
scary.
getting sense on it.
yeah,
Be careful, have fun.
yeah.
Trust the process, and
Yes.
cosplay is not consent. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in today and sharing your journey with us in the world of cosplay. It's been such a pleasure hearing about your experiences. To our listeners, if you are inspired by their stories, make sure to follow them on their social media handles to see more of their exciting works. Keep celebrating your passions and embracing the fandoms that bring you most joy. This is Shivani signing off.